Do you see any ghosts? Down there? No, those are just crumbs. Welcome back to the Spectral Frame. Today, we're getting into the horror hit that broke free from the indie circuit. It's Good Boy, otherwise known as Scare Bud, or Horror Lassie. That one's not as catchy. Whatever.
Come on, bud. Let's go. Come on, scaredy pants.
Good Boy is the feature debut of director Ben Leonberg, as well as our lead actor and bestest boy in the world. It's Indy the dog. Not only is he cute, but he can see the f***ing devil. We experience the movie almost exclusively from Indy's perspective as he tries to save his owner Todd from the evil presence lurking in this house that he just inherited. It's a twist on the classic haunted house horror film setup, but do we like it? Yeah, I actually did like Good Boy. It's honestly a really unique premise that I think looks great. It has some decent scares and kind of like pulls at your heartstrings a little bit. I should not be doing that motion. That's for my second channel. Good Boy is part of this wave of kind of like non-traditional or experimental horror films distributed by IFC and Shudder. This is a little more traditional than things like Skinamarink or In a Violent Nature, but I do think it fits in that pantheon pretty well. We're gonna get into all the good. I have so much fucking cat hair in my mouth. I can't even. We're gonna get into all the good, bad, and hairy of Good Boy, but I will be spoiling major plot points, so this is your one and only spoiler warning for the entire video. It's here, it's happening right now. If you want to skip the plot synopsis, do the chapter-y thing, whatever at the bottom and the YouTube stuff, but this is your one warning. The movie opens with a freaky scene of Indy the dog seeing this kind of shadowy, dark presence while his owner, Todd, has some sort of episode. He's bleeding from his face or his mouth. I wasn't really sure. It was dark. Anyway, we find out that Todd is suffering from a chronic lung disease, so he moves from New York City out into the woods into this house that he inherited from his dead grandpa. That seems all cool and fine, but there's one problem. Todd's sister, Vera, she thinks that the house is haunted and contributed to their grandfather's death. Todd moves in anyway, and honestly, I'm with him on this one. Haunted or not, this is the only way us millennials are ever gonna own homes. I don't care if the house is built on a mountain of dead bodies, cursed for 1,000 years, whatever. Does it have plumbing? Does it have electricity? Then you got yourself a f***ing deal, my friend. Anyway. Once Todd and Indy are moved in, Indy immediately starts seeing this presence that, like I said in the beginning, looks like kind of like a shadow, but also appears as this almost skeletal-like figure covered in mud. It's pretty gross and goopy looking, but also spooky. But the longer they live there, the more Todd starts to change. Like, his health worsens, and he also becomes kind of more aggressive towards Indy. Like, he's kind of mean. Like, he pushes him a couple times, he yells at him. It's pretty messed up. While that progresses, Indy sees more things, including the spirit of Bandit, who was the dog of Todd's grandpa. It's also a cute, really fluffy looking golden retriever who I just want to pet, and he's really cute, and he's got a little cute bandana on too. Anyway, he's a ghost. But that's not all he sees. Indy also has these scary doggy dreams where the presence harms him or attacks him or grabs him and pulls him under the bed. It's pretty freaky, and honestly, it's kind of fun because we're used to seeing in horror movies, you know, people have scary dreams and they wake up, and we kind of get that with Indy. Even though that's kind of a trope at this point, it is really fun to see that from a dog's perspective. Anyway, late one night, Indy finds Todd slamming his head aggressively against the basement door until there's blood. Todd comes out of his stupor and goes to bed, and Indy tries to keep watch over him, but the presence comes in, slams the door between them, and separates them. Indy rushes out of the house and goes for help, but unfortunately he's caught in a fox trap. And like, Todd is really starting to lose it. He's getting madder and madder at Indy, so he chains up Indy outside and makes him sleep in the doghouse until one night when the presence comes out and attacks Indy. In an action action-packed scene, Indy breaks free from the chains, gets inside the house, and rushes upstairs to comfort Todd, who was also attacked by the presence. Todd turns around and sees himself, rather his corpse, on the bed, dead. The presence catches up and drags Todd, I guess his ghost, through the house, down into the basement and into this dark cavern. Indy, being the protective dog he is, gives chase and catches up to them in the basement in the dark cavern where he gets to Todd, but Todd has to accept his fate. In a heartbreaking scene, Todd comforts Indy, tells him that he's been a good dog, but that he can't save Todd this time. The dark figure grabs Todd and pulls him back into the darkness for the final time. The next morning, Todd's sister Vera comes over to find his body and then find Indy in the cellar. She calls to him, but Indy waits, hearing a little whistle from Todd coming out of the cavern. He waits and waits, but finally turns and goes up the stairs into the light. Roll credits. Beautiful. Let's get into my likes. First and most obviously on my likes list is the dog acting. Despite this being Indy's first time on screen, I would say this dog has more prowess than most animal actors. And honestly, he's perfect for horror movies because he has that serious face, but is also really fluffy looking, so it's kind of best of both worlds. There's a lot of Indy reacting to things going on around him, especially early in the movie before the action picks up, but we can see all that like worry and discomfort in his face. Like, it's not only unsettling, but it also feels more emotional than if this was coming from like a human character. I don't know if that's because I'm like desensitized to seeing humans getting hurt in horror movies on screen, but this really worked for me. According to director Ben Leonberg, he was able to get all these performances from Indy using things like treats and toys and all that kind of stuff. So he was in a different world. He had no idea he was in a movie. Obviously, he's a dog, but was in a completely different world than what we're shown on screen. And honestly, that's how you get me to do anything. Just offer me a little treat. I'll even get in your white panel van. There was actually a short behind the scenes video that played after the movie that explained that Indy's acting is all due to the Kuleshov effect. If you went to film school or you're just a pretentious prick, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. The Kuleshov effect is basically an editing principle that says if we show a character on screen with a neutral expression and then cut to another shot with like a bowl of soup or something, we're going to take that neutral expression as an audience and think that man is hungry because of the juxtaposition. But if we use that same shot with the neutral expression and we cut to say like a coffin, we're gonna think that character feels sad. We're putting our own emotions as an audience onto that neutral expression. And that's what they're doing with Indy the dog. He's a pretty serious dog, and so when you show him being serious and then cut to a monster or a ghost or something in the house, we're gonna think he's scared or he's feeling some type of way, or anxious, nervous, whatever, about this ghost that he's seeing. The Kuleshov effect is basically the only reason why this movie works at all, but it does bring me to my next like, the editing. Listen, I've been an editor for way too long, and if there's one thing I absolutely f***ing hate editing, it's children and it's animals, especially in a narrative context. The continuity is a nightmare, the performances are always weird, and oftentimes things don't fully match up. You're just spending so much time editing around the weird performances and stuff that it never fully feels tight. But here, this is a pretty tight edit. Now, I do think some things could be trimmed down or whatever. We'll get to that later. But the continuity with Indy the dog and like a lot of the kind of experimental flashes and things like that, the dream sequences, I think are edited very, very well with so much attention to detail. Like, this movie does feel seamless, and I know it had to have been really, really freaking hard to do. So big kudos to the editor. You did it. Actually, the editor might have been the director as well. So next on my list of likes is the cinematography. I never expect these kind of lower budget horror films to look very good. And I don't mean that in a diminishing way, like, you know, budget and time and all that stuff. A lot of this plays into it. But here, Good Boy looks so good. It's shot way better than almost any movie in this budget range. Like I mentioned earlier, Good Boy is told from the perspective of Indy, so we get a lot of low cinematography kind of like floating through the house. It's really clever, but also really really adds to that horror. Like, you feel like you're just stuck on the ground, like hanging out while all this stuff happens around you. Like, it definitely adds to the atmosphere, and like I said, just looks really good. Also, something of note, this movie was shot over a 3-year period, and I'm actually kind of amazed because I would never have known that. They really kept it consistent. Next on my likes is the practical effects and the visuals. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but a lot of the visuals in this movie feel like they have weight. You know? Do you know? I don't know. Well, there's a few CG shots that I could point out. There's so much practical effects going on here. You know, doors slamming, things happening, people moving, and kind of like I said, that skeletal figure that looks like it's covered in mud. It's really gross and really visceral, but a lot of those practical effects really hit hard here. Like, there's something to be said about a good practical effect in a low-budget movie like this. It can really make or break your movie. You can really pull off some really cool stuff with like a little string or wire that is pretty creepy. I don't know exactly how they did it here, but it doesn't take much. So when you put in the effort, I do think it pays off. Next up, we gotta talk about the scares. I wouldn't say there's like a plethora of scares in Good Boy, but the ones that do happen are very effective. This is a really atmospheric film that is few far in between with like jump scares or things, but the stuff that does happen I think is earned, and there's a couple that really got me. I don't consider this a really scary movie, but I think it is effective in the scares and when they come. And last but not least on my likes list is the ending. I know we're dealing with ghosts and the supernatural and spirits and stuff like that, but I genuinely did not see the twist coming where Todd finds his own dead body and Indy has to comfort him. Like, I think that's so great and was so earned, and I didn't expect the movie to go that way. It feels, despite the supernatural elements, it feels more grounded than that. So when we see it, I'm like, oh, it got me pulled right in. Like, I was so engaged by this twist and this reveal that, man, everything that came after really hit. That scene where Indy chases Todd's ghost through the house into the basement, and they have that super heartfelt moment where Todd's like, oh, you've been such a good dog. And I'm like, oh, don't make me cry. Don't make me cry watching this alone in the theater. But you know, it would have been okay. I would have been fine with crying because it's a really emotional scene that I think is played off super well. So again, lots of cool supernatural things going, and this twist really sold this ending. It's both freaky and weird and shot really interesting, but also heartfelt and emotional, and man, I couldn't think of a better ending for this. I was thinking about it too, like, if I died, would my cat Taco Steve like usher my spirit somewhere, or would he just eat my corpse? Honestly, I'm not mad either way. And while I liked a good deal of things in Good Boy, there was a few things that threw me off, a few things I have to note, so we gotta hop on over and talk about my dislikes. First on my dislikes list is the human acting. Now, I don't know for sure, but almost every bit of dialogue from a human in this movie feels like it was ADR, or recorded after the fact and dubbed in. The performances just feel kind of like a college film. Like, they feel like somebody trying to act. And I'm not trying to like shit on the actors. I know this was a movie that took a long time to get made and stuff, so I understand the constraints of it, but the human acting really kind of pulled me out. There was just like a lot of weird line reads. So not so much the physical stuff, but mostly just the dialogue reading. Most of the time, the human actors' faces were kind of obscured, and like, again, knowing it took 3 years to film, like, I guess it makes sense why that was going on, but it also felt like the production was deliberately trying to hide something as opposed to like, I don't know, showing the film from Indy's perspective. It just felt like they were kind of masking a mistake or something, but a lot of that stuff just didn't gel, and those are the big parts that pulled me out of the film. When I heard a bad line reading or very obviously recorded after the fact audio inserted in here. Next on my list of dislikes is the pacing, especially early in the movie. Usually I have a problem with pacing in movies when they're really long. Like, if you've watched my channel at all, you know that I hate horror films or comedy films that are like specifically genre that go over like an hour and a half. I feel like you should justify your runtime. There's plenty of horror movies that are very long that I love, but often those movies do justify that runtime. This movie is only an hour and 12 minutes, and the early pacing of this film and like that first act and early second act, it felt like it lasted so long. And I like a lot of atmosphere, but this felt like it was just kind of dragging its feet. This also ties into my last dislike, which is the story progression. Obviously, it's no easy feat to tell a story from a dog's perspective, but the majority of the beginning of the movie and definitely through the middle of the movie is just Indy the dog reacting as things happen. Like, there's not a lot of proactive things that he has to do. He's just, trying to keep Todd safe and like being spooked out at things that happen around him. Now, there's story going on in the background. Todd's lung condition is getting worse. His sister Vera is worried about him and all this stuff. But again, Todd's not even that proactive of a character either. So there's not a whole lot to grasp onto. We're just kind of hanging out and experiencing these things with the characters. Like I said earlier, though, this film definitely does pick up in the third act. Like, Indy becomes proactive. He's taking off. He's trying to actively protect Todd, and he's trying to keep the spirit away and also run from it as it tries to attack him. So there is a lot going on towards the end, which I think really redeems this movie, but getting there does kind of feel like a slog. And again, it's a really short movie. Like, it's not long at all, and I appreciate a short runtime or a concise runtime, but I also just really felt a lot of the drag in this movie. So if you cut any more of it, it really just probably would be a long, short film, which I'd be fine with. I'd be fine with like a 40-minute cut of this movie that's a little more action-packed or a little more getting to it. Like, we get a lot of the atmosphere, and I think we understand the atmosphere early, but when it keeps on going and keeps on trying to build it, it feels like it kind of loses me there. Those are just my opinions, but you know me, I'm not satisfied with my own opinions. I gotta see what the is going on IMDb, the barren wasteland of movie reviews. I gotta see what people are talking about. I want to see the 10-star reviews, and I want to see the 1-star reviews. 10 star, and 1 star. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. As of this recording, Good Boy has a 6.5 on IMDb, and honestly, that feels a little low for me. I wouldn't give this a 10 out of 10, but I think for me it falls closer to like a 7.5. Yeah, right around that range. Our first 10-star review comes from Nooner777. I first saw this at a screening last year with the impression it was headed to streaming. One of the folks hosting the screening mentioned Hulu as a possibility. I'm glad it got a theatrical release. Yeah, I'm actually really glad I got to see this in the theater. Like I mentioned before, the film's pretty short, so it had this little extra short behind-the-scenes video that played after that was really cool and really cute with the director and Indy and stuff, and I thought it was great, but it really let you dive into that atmosphere. I could see watching this at home, people might feel the need to pull out their phone or, I don't know, make a little dinner or something, because it is slow moving like I mentioned, but if you can see this in theaters, definitely do it. The question on everyone's mind is, does the dog survive? That's a spoiler I'm not giving away. I am. He does survive. Thank God. What I will tell you is that this is possibly one of the most original movies, not just horror movies, to come out in years. From the unconditional love of the family pet, he's forced to watch his family fall apart and can't do anything to save them. I mean, I agree that this is an original film and definitely an original premise, but I don't think it's one of the most original movies I've seen in a long time. Like, I don't know. I did like this movie, but I wouldn't say like this is like the beacon of originality, especially in horror, but it is good. I just wouldn't go that far. Our next 10-star review comes from QMCUPAFVT. I hate these names. This movie had me on the edge of my seat. I was completely locked in from beginning to end, and even to the point I wanted to jump into the story and rally for Indy. I'm glad this reviewer felt this way, but for me, I just didn't feel as locked in like that. I think the opening scene was really great and really brought me into the story, but again, it drug its feet. I feel like I've been kind of just saying that over and over again. Like, the movie kind of drug its feet, so I felt myself wanting to be in the story and helping Indy later on, when we get to all the action and stuff like that, but I didn't feel that from the very beginning. You know from the beginning our four-legged loved ones can be the most vulnerable. With that said, I love seeing Indy's development from being a shy good boy to being a brave good boy for his owner. It makes you wonder. That's something I didn't touch on, but definitely agree with. I think the character development of Indy the dog is really, really great. We do get to see him like kind of being shy and kind of timid with stuff, timid with the ghost, but timid with Todd as he becomes more aggressive and mean. But as the film goes, Indy gets to his breaking point and he knows he has to act. He has to break free from his chain, like literally, and get back in the house and try to save Todd. So it was really great to see that. And I think, again, I know it's the Kuleshov effect, but we can really see that and feel that in Indy's face. We can see him like get his power back and go after this presence that's attacking him and trying to hurt Todd. And we didn't even need dialogue to get all that across. This is really great visual storytelling, and honestly, like, I haven't seen a dog movie, especially in something in this genre, get that across as well. That was a fun time, but now we're here to have a bad time. We gotta get to the 1-star reviews. Our first 1-star review comes from Sean McLyons. It's just not good. They spent so much time getting the dog to do what they wanted, they forgot to make it actually scary or have a legit story/plot. I mean, I disagree with those words, but I understand the sentiment. Like, not a lot happens, and I can understand the frustration there. The human actors sucked. At least 5 times I thought of walking out, but didn't because I hoped it would get better. It didn't. I'm giving it 1 star for the work they did with the dog. The rest of the movie deserves 0. I already told you my issues with the human acting. It didn't really work for me, but the main draw of this is Indy and his performance, so I could move past it. But obviously, if you're trying to be invested in the human acting and characters and stuff, this movie can be challenging, I guess, in that way. So I understand this, but a 0? Are you out of your mind? No, I've seen a lot of shit in my life, but there's no way that this movie deserves a 1 star or a 0. Get out of here. Our last 1-star review comes from Frisch Hawk. What an absolutely boring movie. It tried to be filled with jump scares and psychological horror and did both of those terribly. It was really just reaction shots of the dog. The dog was good at least, but really it didn't have much at all to do. Are you noticing a common theme in these reviews? This movie's atmosphere just didn't work for a lot of people, and I do understand it. The movie could have been buffed up a little more, like there could have been more stuff to do as opposed to just the characters waiting around for things to happen, or Indy just watching things happen. But it's not my movie. I already said my criticisms of that, but this person apparently felt the same way. At the 30-minute mark, I knew this movie wasn't going to get any better. Heck, the dog doesn't even get freaked out enough to bark until 52 minutes in. It felt like this was just a vanity project to try to show people what a good boy the dog is. I mean, I disagree with that. This movie definitely felt like a passion project from somebody who really knows filmmaking. I think it looks good and sounds good and all the other great things that I mentioned before, but I do like that Indy doesn't really bark until later in the movie. It's another part of his character development that really works for this. So yeah, I get it. I get it. Be happy with the trailer. That's all you need. This does have a really good trailer, but this review is kind of short-sighted. So overall, would I recommend Good Boy? Yeah, I definitely would. It might not be for everybody, but I do think there's a lot of things in this movie that people can grab onto. Like, there's things to get out of this movie. It's not a waste of time, and it may wear on your patience a little bit, but if you can hack it, stick around for the ending. I think it's worth it. I think there's a lot of things worth it in this movie. So, do I understand people not liking it or thinking it's boring, blah, blah, blah? Yeah, I get that, but I definitely think this is worth it, and I think you should see it in the theater if you get a chance. I probably would have been looking at my phone if I was at home, but seeing it in the theater and having that immersive experience really paid off for this movie, so definitely do it. Plus, you get that cute little behind-the-scenes video at the end. I think that might be worth it alone, so yeah, you should check out this movie. So what'd you think of Good Boy? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments. That's what they're there for. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for sticking around. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the subscribe button if you really like it. It's free and helps me afford ghost hunting gear because Taco Steve can't see